Hi, this is Deborah. It is Saturday, November 9th, 2019, and I want to do this video because I have to say thank goodness for the Wayback Machine. Okay, I found a few things that are very, very interesting on the Wayback Machine, and it kind of exposes Christopher Everard for the criminal and con man that he is. The first one is from March. I hope you can see this up here. Actually, the best thing to do is, it's going to be hard for people to view this on their phones, but if you have a large computer screen, it's better to view this video on your computer screen so you can read all of this as I scroll through it. But this one is from the Wayback Machine back in March 9th, 2007. And he's saying, the Enigma channel is under attack again, in parentheses. A special message from Chris Everard to all Enigma channel subscribers regarding possible disruptions to broadcasts during Christmas and New Year period 2006 to 2007. So he obviously wrote this before Christmas 2006. So the Wayback Machine, I guess, captured it March 9th, 2007. So he goes on to say, and you can read this if you have this like big full screen, you can read it for yourself. I'm just going to go over like the most important things here. He's basically saying that he's under attack again. So he's always saying he's under attack, okay? Then he says, the Enigma channel exists solely through the funds earned from the sale of our feature-length documentaries on DVD and the support of our subscribers. It has been a constant uphill battle which has created no profit in almost a decade. With all monies reinvested into the Enigma channel and Enigma Motion Pictures. One of the most difficult areas for concern for us has been the regular disappearance of people which we hired to run computer servers. In the last 8 years, no less than 5 individual companies in 4 countries have mysteriously gone bust, shut up shop for no reason, or just vanished. Sounds like something Everard does. He always makes a runner. There's actually stuff out there like, oh, he made a runner. He made a runner with the money. He didn't pay like a DVD place that printed the DVDs or something, and he made a runner. There's all sorts of stuff about that. So Everard is always the one making the runner. And never forget that he made a runner from France to Spain, conned a landlord out of a rental house, and then made a runner from Spain back to France. And now he's on the run again, somewhere in France. Okay? So he's the one making the runners. He's the one that just vanishes. And then he goes on to say, this has often left us. He says this us thing when it's just him. It's just him. I know he had one webmaster one time that I knew about, and that was it. And that guy wanted nothing to do with him eventually. But anyway, it's just him. He doesn't have a production company. We've gone over this before. See my other videos. It's a one-man con operation. That's what the Enigma channel is. It's a con. It's a big con, it's a small con, it's a short con, it's a long con. He's just all about the con, okay? So, this has often left us, it's not us, it's a one-man operation, Christopher Everard, with the daunting task of migrating giant amounts of data from one computer network to another. We recently employed a company to host one of our servers, and true to form, they too have now indicated that they will be selling up, or even worse, completely going out of business. Mysterious emails, strange fax communications, telephones left ringing unanswered for hours on end, and strange murmurings in the background of telephone conversations when we eventually do make contact with these companies all show a telltale sign of covert pressure put on these organizations, which we believe results in them doing everything in their power to disrupt the Enigma channel broadcasts. No, it's probably because they realized I don't think he ever did have anything to do with other companies, because no company would have anything to do with him. But they probably realized he's a con man and they wanted nothing to do with him. So he goes on to say, if disruption occurs soon, please be aware that the Enigma channel will compensate all subscribers. Yeah, right. When has he ever done that? The only time I ever saw him or heard about him issuing a refund was when some woman from the Foreign Commonwealth Office ordered a DVD. And man, I'm telling you that I was actually in France because I actually, for those of you new to this channel, I actually had the misfortune of knowing Chris Everard in real life. Okay, and I was in France at that time, and he came barreling down those stairs from his upper room in his house, where his studio is. Okay, it's not a studio; it's just upper room with some computers in it. But he comes barreling down those stairs, and he's like, someone from the Foreign Commonwealth Office just ordered a DVD. I'm going to go issue a refund. And that is the only time I have ever heard him issuing a refund. So this is so funny. But basically, it's just all about excuses. Notice he always, whenever there's like what he does, he puts the blame on somebody else. He's either been hacked or he's been this or he's been that. And it's all him. He's doing it and he's conning you out of money. Okay? And he's always putting the blame on somebody else. This is a pattern with him. It goes back to 2006. Okay? This was written by him in 2006. Oh, sorry. It wasn't written by him. If you look at this, it says, we thank you all from the bottom of our hearts, signed Cindy Snyder, senior producer on behalf of Chris Everard, British film director, producer. There's no one named Cindy Snyder. That is a fake name. He does that all the time. He puts fake names. He signs emails in fake names. He was signing in emails with the name Natasha, and it was like a big joke to him because in reverse it's Satan. Yeah, this is his big joke on everybody. He's a con man. So Cindy Snyder is, I'm kind of, because I had the misfortune of knowing Christopher Everard, that's his little joke on people with the word snide in it. Because he has enemies lists of people and he calls them Luciferian, snides, and weirdos. So that's Christopher Everard's little joke on everybody right there. That person doesn't exist. They didn't write that. Everard wrote that. Okay? Now, I want to show you, now we've established that anyone who's familiar with Everard knows that he's always saying that he's been hacked or this or that, or people came into his life or they infiltrated his company and blah, 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 blah. It's a joke, okay? It's false. It's a scam. He's scamming you. Now, where is this other one? That was from, this is security alert. Okay. This one goes back to, this one was also grabbed on the Wayback Machine, March 9th, 2007. And this is dated 14th February 2007. Security alert at the Enigma channel. Again, another one. Okay. He writes, I'm going to put all these, actually, I'm going to put all of these links from the Wayback Machine in the video description below so you can read every single one of these in their entirety at your leisure. And, but I'm going to hit on some very important points here. Okay, 14th February 2007. This is Christopher Everard talking. I started the Enigma channel nearly 10 years ago as a public service to broadcast a public service, right? Then why do people pay him money if it's a public service? To broadcast documentaries about subjects which the mainstream media refused to cover in an in-depth fashion. Every penny from subscribers has been reinvested over the years with still no sign of any kind of profits. But the Enigma channel is not motivated by money. Oh, really? That is why I chose to never broadcast mindless sport or soap operas. Vast sums have been eaten up by flying all over the world. No, I've seen his passports, okay? No, he's lying there too. Then it talks about what he does, spiritualism, reincarnation, state-sponsored terrorism, yada, yada, yada. He's basically selling his channel to you, but then saying that he's under attack. Okay, security alert. Then he says, not surprisingly, there are many fanatical religious groups, mostly vehement Catholic. These are Chris Everard's words right here. Okay, not surprisingly, there are many fanatical religious groups, mostly vehement Catholics, and of course, members of the various Masonic orders within government and law enforcement agencies, who do not like the fact that the Enigma channel broadcasts material which investigates matters which have, until recently, been reserved as secret knowledge for the royal aristocratic elite. Then he goes on to write, I, meaning Chris Everard, recently discovered Catholic fetish pornography photos had been uploaded onto one of the Enigma channel servers without my permission by a freelance web programmer whose computer skills were used to improve the broadcast performance of the Enigma channel. Let me read that again for you. I, meaning Christopher Everard, he's writing this, recently discovered Catholic fetish pornography photos had been uploaded onto one of the Enigma channel servers without my permission by a freelance web programmer whose computer skills were used to improve the broadcast performance of the Enigma channel. Right there, I want you to realize the importance of that. Right there, he is admitting that the Enigma channel, enigmatv.com, enigmachannel.com, Christopher Everard's website, at one time had pornography on it. See that? But he's putting the blame on somebody else. Now, this is what Christopher Everard does. When he's called out on something, he then shifts the blame to somebody else. It's never, never his fault. No. He never takes accountability for anything, okay? But he is right there in that sentence saying that there was pornography on his website. Boom. Wayback Machine, March 9th, 2007. This is from ChristopherEverard.com on the Wayback Machine. I will put the link in the video description below. He then goes on to write, I find this kind of behavior endemic nowadays. It has now become typical that people lie and cheat and take advantage of another person's generosity. He's actually describing himself right there. Can you see the projection here? Okay. Indeed, the webmaster in question owns many books on the theme of willpower, the mantra from Aleister Crowley, do as thou wilt. He always does this. He always goes back to the Crowley thing. Always, like it's just his MO, that it's just what he does. And then he writes, do as thou wilt, has without question been honed and distorted to mean lie, cheat, deceive, do anything you want to get ahead. No, that's what Everard does. That's what he does. He lies and cheats and deceives, and he does anything he wants to get ahead. And then when he's called out, he puts those people on an enemies list, says he's being persecuted for the types of subject matters he exposes. Yeah, right. And then he puts the blame on somebody else. This is what he does all the time. It is a pattern with him. And this is going back to 2007. 2007 on the Wayback Machine. And he's still doing this kind of crap today. And people are still following him. And he was just on a recent internet radio show. And he was saying, he was lying, basically saying that he's been not persecuted, but he's been the victim of censorship. And that's why he had to start the Enigma channel. And I'm thinking, there was no censorship back then when he says that he started the Enigma channel. And up until now, with this recent censorship of like YouTube and other platforms, um, it was never an issue. Okay, but now he's cashing in on that, saying that he's being censored. No, no, he's not being. No, he is a con man. Okay, because in his bio from years ago when he was talking about starting up the Enigma channel, and right there he said, right here in the first sentence of this one, he says, "I started the Enigma channel nearly 10 years ago as a public service." So, well, just like less than a month ago, he was on an internet radio show and he says he started it because he was being censored. So he lies constantly, constantly. Um, anyway, let's see. I'll scroll all the way up here in case you guys just want to read it on screen. But then he goes on to say, like, there's going to be disruptions of the broadcast again. In other words, his stuff doesn't work. He's conned you out of money. Your subscriptions don't work. Don't ask for a refund. Blah, blah, blah. All this kind of stuff. That's what he does. Okay. And then at the end, it's all, he's showing his support for David Icke and all this kind of stuff. And then I think he eventually got crossways with David Icke or whatever. But anyway, he signs it. Kind regards, Christopher Everard, the Enigma Channel, GBC. I've already proved in past videos that GBC is a made-up company. It doesn't exist. Much like the names that he puts on emails and signs like in the prior post before this one. Okay, now moving on. We've already established right here, I wish I could highlight this, but I can't. It won't let me highlight it. Right here, we've already established that he admitted that there was pornography on his website. Back in 2007, the Enigma channel had pornography on it, but he's now putting the blame on somebody else. When in actuality, what probably happened is someone said, "Hey, Everard, you have porn on your channel." And then, he has to then pass the blame over here to some other fictitious person that doesn't exist. Anyway, what the interesting thing about this Aleister Crowley person, this web person that he says that he worked with or whatever, a web programmer, Aleister Crowley fan or whatever, he told me when I was in France with him, he told me a story about some guy that he did know, but he was acting like this guy was some great, like he had a great like criminal mind, and Everard was kind of bragging about the fact that he knew this guy, and he said his name was Will, and then he said he had a brother named Set, and he said that they were like from a Crowley family or whatever, and they would con women to come to Europe, and then they would then travel somewhere else in Europe, and then one brother would call the other brother and say, "Oh, your mom is sick and in the hospital. You have to come home fast. You have to get here really quickly." And then the guy who was with the girl who traveled there from somewhere else, that he met online, sound familiar? Then he would con that girl out of money, saying that he didn't have the money to get home right now, so he would con that girl out of whatever he needed to get a plane ticket or whatever, whoever knows how much money it was. And then he would then meet up with his brother, and they would party around Europe. And Everard told this story with like a big smile on his face, like he thought that was the coolest thing ever. Okay, so that's what's interesting about this. Now, that's a little bit of backstory about Everard, but the main important thing here is that he is admitting that there was pornography on his website back in 2007. That is very, very important. I don't even want to know what Catholic fetish pornography is. Don't want to know. The fact is, he says there was pornography on his channel. Then let's go to this one. This one is June 9th, 2007, and he's again giving people messages, a message to all the Enigma Channel subscribers and supporters from British film director Chris Everard. The latest attack on my web servers, the stealing of personal computer and other equipment from my home, and the hijacking of my email addresses is just one of a series of such attempts during the last 10 years designed to shut me up. Does this sound familiar? It's on and on and on. The same thing. He still does this. How many This is what? 12 years ago. He has been doing this. This is his MO. This is what he does. This is his spiel, okay? He's always saying this. He's always saying there's been hacking attacks and this and that. And oh, God, you can read this. I'll put all of these links in here. Then he's saying, like, somebody might be able to temporarily hijack the odd website, but they cannot hijack the heart. Oh, God, it's such a joke. He's such a fraud. This is a con that he has been doing forever. This is the long con, okay? He does the short cons. He also does the long cons, okay? The short con would be something like him, you buying a DVD from him for $30 or whatever he's charging now, and you never receiving your DVD. That's a short con, okay? It's horrible that he did that to even one person, okay? But the long con is that he does that to many, 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 many people over many, 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 many years, okay? And then when he's called out on it, or when someone finds pornography on his website, they are now enemy number one, put on an enemies list, and then he makes up some story that he's been hacked or he's been this or he's been wronged in some way and he's being persecuted for the types of subject matters that he covers, which is a joke. It's a joke, okay? He's a fraud. And he's hiding in this, whatever you want to call it now, the truth movement. I don't even know what to call it anymore. But he's hiding in it because it gives him the perfect cover, because he can say he's being persecuted. Okay? He's a fraud, he's a criminal, he's a deviant, and I personally saw child pornography on Christopher Everard's computer. Okay? So let's not forget that. And he is a deviant of the worst kind. He is so horrible. He needs to be locked up. This one is from January 31st, 2014, and right here you can see it says Enigma X-rated documentaries. Wonder what those are. And then it says, plus you'll be able to upload your own video clips and earn money if more than 1 million people view your video on his channel. So you would think that someone back in 2007 who had a problem with, he's saying someone put pornography on his website, wouldn't you say he would be a little cautious to maybe have people upload their own video clips to his channel? Wouldn't that be a little risky? Then down here, that John Lennon film, that he conned a lot of people out of money for that. He's got that GBC thing again down here. Royal Television Society. He never had anything to do with the Royal Television Society. I've exposed that in the past too. He's just throwing in these logos to make his page look legitimate because that's all he is. He's a con man and a criminal, and he has to use these other things to make himself look legitimate. Okay, so right here he says he has X-rated documentaries, and he's going to allow people to upload their own video clips to his channel, which I would think if you had problems with something on your channel before, you would never allow anyone to upload anything. But yeah, we all know he put it there himself. This one right here, I want to point this out. Down below, right here at the bottom of your screen, you can see your subscription is a donation to our Dolphin and Wildlife Biodiversity Project. Okay? And then he writes up here, your subscription donates funds to biodiversity research and wildlife photography projects around the world. Okay? Then up here, he says, where is it? I forget where it was, but he basically says he puts every penny back into his channel. So, well, which is it? Do you put every penny back in? Oh, I can't find it. Maybe it's on another page, but he says he puts every penny back, but then he says he donates. So he's lying. He's a fraud. But if you have used any credit card, any PayPal thing, you need to report this guy. This guy is a con man. You need to report him. This one is interesting right here. This, if you can see it, these are all those meta tags. And he has, oh, what's this? Cocksucker Blues. These are the meta tags that he had on his channel. This is from 2010, April 7th, 2010 on the Wayback Machine. Roman Polanski, cocksucker. I mean, this is crazy. And then he had, I think he had Horny Rob. He had a French, the name of a French film. It's all on the forum if you want to read that. But he had, it's so gross. He had all of this stuff on here. And then, and you can tell he typed these up himself because it has the typical Chris Everard typos of how he constantly misspells certain names. Right here, Catherine Demici. That's a Chris Everardism. I told him constantly it's Catherine de Medici, and he always misspells it Demici. So that proves right there he typed these up himself. But right down here at the bottom, the main important thing here is, where is it? Dreamhouse channel, right here. The Dreamhouse channel, okay? The Dreamhouse channel was something that he had, and he used it actually to con that landlord in Spain out of that house. And he actually lied to the rental agency and said he was an architect. Okay, so he lied. Everything about him is a lie, right? So anyway, the Dreamhouse channel. This is the Wayback Machine for the Dreamhouse channel. And he's got these testimonials. He owned this domain name. And he's got these fake testimonials up there that say, I love watching the Dreamhouse channel. They sold my house very quickly. And I found a beautiful new home just by sitting and having a cup of tea and watching their wonderful video reports. And then the other one is, the Dreamhouse channel saved me thousands of pounds in lost time speaking to estate agents. The Dreamhouse channel present professional video reports on every property and saves you time and money. I found my dream house in 7 days. Okay. Chris Everard owned this domain. He used it to con a landlord in Spain out of a house. He still owes that landlord money. He then goes on to say, the Dreamhouse channel is a TV channel available worldwide via the internet. We have DVDs of properties for sale and rent in France, Spain, Florida, Thailand, India, Portugal, Greece, Italy, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Andorra. You can sell your house on the Dreamhouse channel for free. And then he had his vineyard listed. And then I think, I don't know if his former webmaster, Paul, knew about this, but he had Paul's house listed here, because that's not Everard's house right here. This one would be Everard's house. This one was the only webmaster that I ever knew to work with Everard. Okay, so I doubt that his webmaster even knew that Everard was making a bogus website as if he is selling houses and then listed these places for sale, but they're not really for sale. You see what I mean? It's a scam. Now that's weird. What's he doing involved in real estate? What's he doing scamming a landlord out of a house in Spain? Notice the places that he's talking about here. France, Spain, Florida, Thailand, India, Portugal, Greece, Italy, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Andorra. Okay? Andorra is a little country in between France and Spain, and it's a little tax haven. It's where people go to dodge their taxes. Now, this is where it gets, well, I'll scroll up here so you can see this. But he's just going on about these properties and this and that. if you want to order a DVD of the properties featured on the Dreamhouse channel. Oh, I wonder how many people fell for that. Anyway, so remember, I want you to remember France, Spain, Florida, Thailand, Las Vegas. Okay? Remember those locations. This one is from the Wayback Machine, August 26th, 2010. And I remember this, and I actually saw this about him before I ever met him, and I confronted him with it, and I fell for the same thing you did, you guys. I fell for the same thing. He told me I'm being persecuted for the types of subject matters that I cover. I fell for it too. I was just as gullible, just as stupid, okay? But this guy right here, this guy Fedge No, or Fedge Number, or Fedge No, I don't know. I remember he had this up, and it's down now, but this is what he had posted August 26th, 2010. And then he writes a short disclaimer because Chris loves to threaten people with lawsuits. This article is based on my lawsuits. Speaking of lawsuits, Everard wanted to sue YouTube for 48 million pounds. 48 million pounds. Don't forget that. Okay. This guy, he goes on to say, a short disclaimer, because Chris loves to threaten people with lawsuits, this article is based on my own experiences, research, and opinions, and is released as a public service under Canadian fair dealing laws. No copyright infringement or slander is intended or has been committed, so go fuck your hat, Chris. The only thing I'm stating as a conclusive fact on this page is what I found online about you and that you're a prick, which I can prove in court quite easily. And then he writes, Chris Everard, it was brought to my attention recently that someone was committing slander against me on Facebook. No big deal, really. Shills do this every day with me. Why did I take notice? Because he was supposedly a fairly well-known documentary producer who was respected within the truth movement. I was puzzled why someone who was fairly well known and apparently on my side would be slandering me, so I decided to investigate this prick. What's a shill? A shill is someone who's been planted in a population to try and invoke actions that aren't actually beneficial to the group. The term was coined during the days of the snake oil dealers, when shills would pose as satisfied customers, much like Everard puts his little fake testimonials and fake names on his stuff. Okay. Pose as satisfied customers, convincing people to buy their medicines that don't do anything. The term has been recently adapted to include a much wider range of disinformation agents. And then he goes on to write, who is Chris Everard? This was the first question that came to mind. Who the hell is Chris Everard? I never heard of the guy before this, and not many of my close friends had either. Google had, though, because he's been marketing all sorts of stuff online at retardedly inflated prices for years and trying to sue people for copyright infringement. In fact, the second video search result for Chris Everard on Google is entitled Pricks and Stalkers, Chris Everard. Well, looks like I'm not the first person to have problems with this idiot. I'm usually not. Shills typically go around attacking people continually. It's what they are paid for. Then he goes on to say, how do I know Chris Everard is a shill? First off, because he'd attacked my character on Facebook. Everyone who does this is a shill because no one really knows anything about me except my close friends. I did this on purpose to prevent any personal issues that might happen in my life from affecting my work online. Also, Chris was attacking a whole list of people, a lot of them good people who I've known for a long time, and saying things that I knew couldn't possibly be true about them. Then I found out he was working with Leo Zagami. Check his site out, replete with Masonic emblems and all. And Lynn Cat Genders, not worthy of a link. Another well-known two-faced shill, and I think that Lynn, I'm not sure, that name sounds familiar to me, and I don't know why. Probably because of all this ever turd stuff. Anyway, he goes on to say, another well-known two-faced shill who has infiltrated the truth movement on Facebook. Then he writes, my investigation. The first thing I did was block him on Facebook so he wouldn't be able to block me. I needed access to his account if I was to dig anything up. I left him blocked for quite a while. Every now and then I would do a search for him on there and see if anyone was talking about him or anything. Usually there wasn't, but then a like page showed up named Chris Everard is a pedophile when in Thailand. Yes, it was spelled wrong. That was quite interesting. So let me stop here. At one point, before August, I don't know when this guy wrote this, but this is the Wayback Machine cataloged this or archived this. August 26, 2010. Okay, so sometime before this, there was a Facebook page at one point named Chris Everard is a pedophile when in Thailand. Thailand. Remember the Dreamhouse Channel thing? He mentioned Thailand. Okay. That was quite interesting. I don't know who made it, but it was gone after a while. I wanted to know more about this, see if there was any evidence of this at all. Eventually, I came across this hilarious video. And I think I know the video he's talking about because there used to be several videos on YouTube by someone going by anti-Everard. And I remember that because that's where I first heard that Everard was a pedophile when he was in Thailand. Okay, was from that video. It's gone. I can't find it anywhere. But if anyone knows where it is, send the link. Because it's someone exposing Everard, and it was back from like 2010 or 2009 or somewhere around there. So he goes on to write, eventually I came across this hilarious video that doesn't actually present any evidence, but it's funny as hell. The funny thing about humor is that it's almost always based on truth. The things that make people feel uncomfortable would eat away at them if they didn't vent them somehow. Humor allows us to do this in a positive manner. I agree. Chris's privacy settings. It was time to dig a little deeper into Chris's online activities. I looked hard at everything he was doing on his account. The main thing that I noticed was that the list of groups Chris Everard had joined was not visible from his profile. I had to construct the link myself to view his groups. Dumb shit thought that I had to construct the link myself to view his groups. Dumb shit thought that they were completely hidden. And a little smiley face thing. Then he goes on to write, how stupid can you be? Lo and behold, Chris was a member of a group called Everyone Loves a Thai Girl. And a little winky smiley face. Chris was a member of a group called Everyone Loves a Thai Girl and trying to hide it. This actually corroborated the two previous pieces of information that I had found pointing to Chris being a pedophile. Boom. Right there. Back in 2010. There were rumors about him being a pedophile back in 2010. Back in 2007, actually it was archived in 2007, but back in 2006, Everard is posting up that he had pornography on his channel. In his own words, he said it. So, yeah. The thing to remember here is that almost all shills are active pedophiles. The agencies that use them use this information to keep them under control. Things were starting to get a little beyond coincidence here. It's not like this has been proven or anything, but it's definitely a little on the fishy side. Conclusions. This is what he goes on to say. This is what I found and some of my thoughts. It's not actually conclusive proof, of course, but it's a little funny that all of this should come up. This is enough to warrant further investigation without a doubt. I think Chris has made too many enemies now, and people are working hard to expose him. So if he has been screwing kids, if he has been screwing kids in Thailand, it's just a matter of time until we get something conclusive, such as credit card receipts or video footage. Keep an eye on this prick. If anyone has any further information on him, email him, this guy who wrote this, or post an anonymous comment with some links on the forum below. And then he writes, you fucked with the wrong person, Chris. I'm on the right, smarter than you, more widely respected than you, and I have nothing to lose. You can't hide anything from me, and I won't stop until your career is completely destroyed. And that was that one. So these rumors were floating around about Everard back then. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. So remember those place names in the Dreamhouse channel. Let's just go back to it. So you've got France, Spain, Florida, Thailand, India, Portugal, Greece, Italy, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Andorra. Okay, then we have this, talking about Thailand, which I think that's interesting. This is 2010. This one was April 27th, 2010. August 26th, 2010. And then we have this one. FBI report. These are two of Everard's friends. You can read this. I'll put it in the link below. They were a husband and wife team. They fraudulently obtained mortgage loans to purchase homes in Florida and Nevada for more than $10 million. In applying for these loans, Everard's friends falsely reported that they were United States citizens, when in fact, one of them was a citizen of the Netherlands and the other one was a citizen of Canada. In addition, they falsely represented on the loan applications that they were unmarried and made false statements concerning their employment. Then it goes on to say that they both, this husband and wife team that is friends with Everard, and I know they're friends because they were in Egypt with us. They were there. And Everard was kissing their ass. Everyone noticed it. Everyone thought he's just kissing their ass because they were the wealthiest people there. But I think something else is going on. They pled guilty to conspiracy and tax charges in December 2012. And the husband pled guilty to conspiracy and tax charges December 2012, and the wife pled guilty as charged in early January 2013. As part of their sentence, they were required to pay restitution in the amount of, right here, $575,814 to the IRS and $5,188,459 to the mortgage lenders they victimized. Remember the Dreamhouse channel? What were they doing? Selling houses, list your house up here, stuff like that. Florida, Las Vegas, Thailand. Interesting choices. Okay, so that's not some chump change. That's more than $5 million that they had to pay to the mortgage lenders they victimized. And it's more than $500,000 they had to pay to the IRS. And these are Everard's friends that were in Egypt. And the husband was at one point staying on Everard's vineyard in France by himself before he, was that when he came to Egypt? I think it was before he got to Egypt. He was there by himself. Anyway, here's another one out of Tallahassee, Florida. These two, this husband and wife team, they lived in Sandestin from October 2005 to July 2007. They were sentenced to 2 years in federal prison and had to pay a shit ton of money in restitution. Another article about it. Okay. And here we are again. Husband and wife sentenced for tax fraud, which is what Everard does. He commits tax fraud all the time. He doesn't pay taxes on anything. And yeah, so you can read that right there. And another one. Another one. And another one. This one's interesting because it talks about the wife of this husband and wife team of conspirators who were friends, are friends, still to this day on their Facebook pages. They're friends with Everard. Talks about, where is it? While there may be no direct evidence that she is guilty of mortgage fraud, she's been abducted, I think he means indicted, because she has the audacity to post videos about the lawsuit filed against her by First Magnus. My take on her is that she's a get-rich-quick type, doesn't produce anything, and follows the get-rich-quick schemes. She says she's a professional, but I believe a professional would know when and if they were in a potentially fraudulent situation. She definitely profited from the high appraisals and loose lending standards, and I'm sure she wasn't complaining when the money was pouring in. Watch her in the First Magnus videos prancing in front of a Mercedes and Audi. Now, these video links don't work. They don't work. The First Magnus ones don't work, but a Mercedes and an Audi, that's interesting because Everard had a Mercedes that he bought that was left to rot on his vineyard, and he had an Audi for several years, just hanging out, just sitting there on his vineyard, getting dirty and nasty, and the windows were left down on it, and it was just all full of crap. It was just rusting and rotting away. And so he had a Mercedes and an Audi. This was back in 2007, and this housing bubble Hall of Shame thing with the wife of the husband and wife team being called out here. And it says that she was prancing in front of a Mercedes and Audi, which is interesting because Everard had both of those. I would love to see that video if anyone knows how I can find that video. Anyway, and then he goes on to say that, he goes, I love her comment about the herd of luxury vehicles that we have, and those are quotes. And then he said, I found the following blog entry by her that smacks of her own real estate pyramid scheme. And I think that's been taken down. Okay, so I think that's interesting that the Mercedes and the Audi. Now, the Audi was left there by a guy named Paul Kevin Whiffen, who he worked as director, sound engineer, everything on the movie Vile Pervert, which was a sort of, I don't even know what to call that thing. It was about Jonathan King, the pedophile. So he was basically, I don't even know what the words to use there, but basically the Whiffen guy is friends with Jonathan King, a known pedophile, and Everard, I have a video about that. I'll see if I can I'll put the link in the description below. But Everard was saying that, oh, don't worry about Jonathan King. He pales in comparison to other pedophiles. Yeah, that's what Everard said. So the Audi was actually driven to Everard's property in the south of France, and it was left there. Now the Audi was owned by this other guy named Rupert, and he eventually came to pick it up and saw that it was just like in disrepair. I mean, it was just like horrible, filthy, horrible, undrivable. It was horrible. It was sad, actually, what had been done to this car. So they had to stay. This Rupert guy and his girlfriend had to stay overnight at Everard's vineyard. Everard knew that they were coming, but he didn't plan to he didn't plan for house guests. Let me put it that way. He never does. People at film camp and space camp and stuff like that, they got dirty towels and dirty sheets to sleep on. It was sad. It was pathetic, actually, what Everard does to people. And this Rupert guy and his girlfriend who came to pick up this Audi had to spend the night at on Everard's vineyard, and they had to bathe with dirty towels, sleep on dirty sheets. It was really bad, and there was no soap, no nothing. If I hadn't have been there, and because when I travel, I always bring all of my, stuff that I use in the shower, all my soaps, shampoos, stuff like that. If I hadn't have been there, his poor girlfriend wouldn't have had anything to bathe with. And that's how Everard is. He's just a nasty con man. Okay, something else I want to show you. I have another video up that shows that Everard owned the domain for the castingcouch.org. Right here you can see that I have typed in the castingcouch.org. I'm going to type it in again. The castingcouch, did I spell that right? .org. Okay. And boop. Okay. So 2013, I'm gonna look at this. I want to show you this because thank you, thank you, Wayback Machine. Because this shows you that the castingcouch.org redirects to, wait for it, come on, the Enigma channel, right there. Wayback Machine, castingcouch.org, July 3rd, 2013. It was still redirecting to the Enigma channel. Okay, right there. Why would Everard why would he buy the domain name thecastingcouch.org? A little weird when you think about what a casting couch is. A casting couch is the practice of requesting sexual favors by an employer or person in a position of power and authority from a job applicant or subordinate in return for a job or for career advancement. The term casting couch originated in the motion picture industry in reference to the couches in offices that could be used for sex between casting directors or film producers and aspiring actors. And I was trying to find it, but there was, I remember around this time, he was posting up this, like, what's that called? Oh, I forget the name of that couch. Chesterfield. He was posting up these photos of these antique Chesterfield couches with like a black background and there's just this couch there. And he'd write Enigma channel underneath it, and he was posting those up on his Facebook page. Think about it. Okay. Just not normal. What does he have to do with any of this casting couch stuff, right? Why does he have child pornography on his computers? Why was he back in 2006 saying that he had pornography on his website? The Enigma channel, enigmatv.com, had pornography on it in Everard's own words. And this is just another con that he had, that he was doing, this ISIS college, International School of Esoteric Studies. Oh, please. And there he is. Ugh. Yeah, another scam. Another scam. This was a way to get all your information, your birth date, everything. Everything. Okay? That was another scam. And that's on the Wayback Machine from March 27th, 2019. Oh, I guess that's still up. And this one I thought was interesting. This is February 8th, 2006. This is what the Enigma channel used to look like. And he's inviting people to the Solstice Earth Mysteries Camp 2006. And I think that's an interesting little symbol right there with that little swirl, sort of spiral thing now. I mean, this wouldn't make a lot of sense if you didn't know the background story to Everard, but what does that symbol look like to you right there? Interesting. Yeah. And there was some other stuff in that art folder too that he had. He labeled it art. It was an art folder, and he had the child pornography in it. And there was something else in that folder as well. So I will save that for another expose video. And then this is the other guy that he knows, this Paul Kevin Whiffen. I think he even interviewed this guy on internet radio crap on the Truth Frequency. And it shows here that this guy, who is friends with Everard, in 2008, this guy, he was hired to do sound on a Jonathan King documentary. Jonathan King, the pedophile, the convicted pedophile. Okay? He was hired to do sound on a Jonathan King documentary, which director Garth Jennings was then forced to abandon because of his own film, Son of Rambo, So Paul ended up directing all the new high-definition footage for Vile Pervert, the musical, and editing the entire film as well. So he was the sound guy, he was the director, and he edited the entire film, which Time Out made Film of the Week shortly after its Coronet premiere in Notting Hill. It has so far had almost 60,000 views on the internet at vilepervert.com. In 2010, Paul directed another film for Jonathan, that's the pedophile. This time, a fictional musical set in North London, loosely based on Romeo and Juliet, in which a tabloid newspaper work experience girl falls in love with the graffiti artist whose identity she is assigned to uncover, featuring an attractive and talented teenage cast. Teenagers, drawn from the best stage and drama colleges in London. Me will premiere in May 2011 at the Cannes Film Festival. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, a teenage cast. Interesting. So these are the types of people that Everard has as friends. He has people that commit mortgage fraud, tax fraud, conspiracy. I thought Everard liked to expose conspiracies. Yeah, why didn't he expose them? Why was he kissing their ass in Egypt? Right? Anyway, and this guy, friend of his, who glorifies a pedophile and works on a film for a pedophile that has a teenage cast. Is anyone not, if you're not getting this, I'm sorry, you need to wake up. But years ago, when I had the misfortune of knowing Christopher Everard, I saw child pornography on his computer that was time-stamped as being placed on his computer in 2005. And then in 2006, he's saying that he had pornography, Catholic fetish pornography, on his own website. Okay? Anyway, I don't know what to tell you. These are the types of people that Everard hangs out with, and they also hang out with him. So birds of a feather, you know. Anyway, I don't know. I just look at it for yourself. You tell me what you think. But the main thing is, if you have been conned by Christopher Everard, okay, you need to, number one, or if you know anything about Christopher Everard that's, that you need to report him to the police. If you've been conned and he's taken your money and he hasn't given you a DVD or something like that, you need to report him to PayPal or your credit card or your bank. You need to report him because he's just going to keep doing this. This is a pattern with him. He's been doing it forever, for decades. By his own words, he set up the Enigma channel in 1999. That's 20 years that he has been conning people. Okay? 20 years. Anyway, you need to report him. Report him to your credit card, your bank, the police, wherever you need to report him. And if you want to vent, you can come to our forum. I'll put the link to our forum below, and you can read all the other stuff about him. People have come forward over the years, okay? But come forward, people. Expose this asshole. I'm sick of it. But I won't rest until he is in prison. Okay? So you have a wonderful Saturday, and take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Stay safe on the internet. And stay away from these conmen criminals like Christopher Everard. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.